You know, as an engineer, your world is all about precision, logic, getting things just right. But what happens when you have to actually tell someone about your brilliant solution? Yeah, that's where things can get a little messy. So today, we're going to reframe professional communication, not as some fluffy, soft skill, but as a core part of your engineering toolkit. Because really, choosing the right way to send your message is just as critical as choosing the right material for a design.
Let's start with a problem I think we all feel in our bones: email fatigue. Just look at this statistic. The average employee is spending nearly an hour a day, and managers closer to 2 hours, just dealing with email. That is a massive productivity killer, and it's a huge red flag that our go-to method of communication might just be fundamentally broken. So that brings us to the real challenge, right? I mean, with notifications and pings coming at you from every direction all day long, how do you actually cut through all of that noise? How do you make sure your critical update or your complex question or your next big idea gets the attention it actually deserves? And let's be clear, this problem is so much bigger than just the volume of messages. It's about effectiveness. We aren't just tired of emails, we're frustrated when our points get completely misunderstood, our important messages get ignored, or, and this is the worst, when we get stuck in one of those endless reply all chains that could have just been a 5-minute conversation.
Okay, but here's where your engineering mindset is actually your superpower. Let's start thinking of every way we communicate, a phone call, an email, a formal memo, as a specific tool for a specific job. You have this entire toolkit at your disposal. The real skill is knowing exactly which tool to grab for any given task. So how do you choose the right tool? Well, you don't have to guess. There's a simple but really powerful decision framework. Think of it as a mental checklist you can run through before you hit send or pick up the phone. Let's walk through it right now.
First question, and it's a big one. Who are you talking to? Is it someone inside your organization or someone outside? The answer immediately narrows down your choices. A quick, informal memo might be perfect for an internal update to your team, but a formal business letter is definitely the right tool when you're talking to a client, a vendor, or another company. Next up, you got to consider the timeline. How fast do you need a response? If something is genuinely urgent, a phone call or an instant message gives you that immediacy. Email, on the other hand, is built to be asynchronous. It lets the other person respond on their own time, which makes it way better for things that aren't on fire. Now, this is something people forget. The medium you choose sets the tone before they even read a word. A quick text message? That's naturally informal. But a printed letter on company letterhead? Wow, that carries a weight and a seriousness that email just can't touch. The tool itself is broadcasting the importance of your message.
And finally, think about complexity. Can you explain this whole thing in a sentence or two, or does it need detailed specs, a bunch of data, and some background? Trying to explain complex product requirements over the phone is frankly a recipe for disaster. For something like that, you absolutely need a written document, like a formal letter or a report that allows for detail, precision, and a careful review. Okay, so let's apply this framework to the most basic choice we make all day, every day. Should you talk to someone directly or should you type it out? This is that classic choice between synchronous or real-time communication and asynchronous, and believe me, the trade-offs are huge. Let's just break down these differences because they're critical. Talking to someone leaves no official record, which is great for brainstorming, but absolutely terrible for final approvals. Written communication, on the other hand, creates that permanent paper trail. A phone call demands everyone be available right now, while an email can wait. And as we've said, for anything truly complex or formal, writing it down is almost always the smarter choice. All right, so you've decided to type. Now you're facing probably the most common decision in any modern workplace. Do you send a quick email, or do you draft something more substantial like a formal letter or a memo? They're both written down, but they serve totally different purposes. Understanding these trade-offs is everything. Yeah, email is fast, sure, but, and this is so important, it's not secure. Sending proprietary data over email is a huge risk. A formal document, though, is not only more secure, it also has what the source material calls the in-your-face factor. A printed memo sitting on someone's desk is just way harder to ignore than another unread email in a crowded inbox. So let's be crystal clear about when email is the wrong tool. For things like delivering bad news or giving criticism, email just doesn't have the human nuance you need. For trying to reach a big decision, it just creates those endless, confusing reply-all threads. In these high-stakes situations, email is your enemy. Just pick up the phone or schedule a meeting. So when we talk about formal communication, this is what we mean. It is not just a longer email. A business letter has a very specific structure that is designed to convey professional gravity. This is the tool you pull out when the message absolutely has to be taken seriously, especially if you're talking to someone externally or creating a permanent official record. And that structure, it's not just random. Every single part has a purpose. The heading and inside address make sure it gets routed and recorded properly. The formal salutation, and notice it ends with a colon, not a comma, that sets a professional tone from the get-go. The body has your clear, concise message, and the signature block provides your formal sign-off and your credentials. It's a format that is built for absolute clarity and professionalism. All right, so we know which tool to use and why. Now let's talk about how. Here is a rapid-fire checklist of pro tips to make every single piece of your written communication, from emails to big reports, instantly more effective. For email, let's be blunt. The subject line is everything. You have to make it specific and compelling. And please don't bury the lead. Put your most important point right in the very first sentence. Keep it short, use white space with short paragraphs, and always proofread. A simple typo can just completely undermine their credibility. Now, these same principles apply pretty much everywhere. Always state your purpose right up front. If you're following up on something, reference that previous conversation to give some context. Use lists to make complex information easy to scan. But here's the most important one. Be explicit about what you want to happen next. Don't make your reader guess what you want from them. Tell them. So if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. Communication isn't separate from your engineering work. It is your engineering work. A groundbreaking design that's poorly explained will never get built. A critical safety concern that gets lost in an email thread could lead to disaster. Your ideas have incredible value, but that value is only unlocked when you can convey them clearly and effectively. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As our projects get more complex and our teams become more spread out across the globe, these communication challenges are only going to get bigger. So ask yourself, which of these skills, choosing the right tool, writing with total clarity, or truly understanding your audience, which one is going to be the most critical asset for your own success?